Ready? All right, if I get started, I'd like to welcome everybody to the October 3rd, 2023 meeting. Official time is 6:01. If I could get approval of the agenda this time.
So moved, Chairman.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye? Aye. It's a great honor to have Ronnie Henson from Grayling Baptist Church who's going to open us up. Watch your head.
Let's open up in prayer and then we'll do the pledge. Father, we just thank you for this day. Lord, I just thank you for this, Lord, in the name that's above all names, the name of Jesus Christ. So God, I just thank you, God, that we still live in a country called the USA. I thank you, Lord, that we live in a great community called Jones County, Georgia. So God, we just thank you, God, that the people behind me, Lord, they've been called to serve in specific areas, Lord, where they live at. And so we just thank you, God, that they're here, Lord. I just pray, God, tonight, Lord, for wisdom. I pray, God, but most of all, Lord, I pray, God, that it's not by power, it's not by might, Lord, but your spirit will reign with us tonight. So God, we know our world is getting darker and darker and darker. But praise God, as the world gets dark, your light will shine brighter and brighter. So let your light shine within each and every one of us here tonight. We give you the glory, we give you the honor. In Jesus' name we pray. Everybody says, Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't get a handshake.
Yeah, I was waiting on you.
Good to see you. I got a hug.
You can hug Daylon. All right. Before I ask Mr. Petrowski to come start the zoning presentation tonight, if anybody's here in opposition to any of these requests, you will have an opportunity to speak. So with that being said, Mr. Petrowski, you want to start us off tonight?
Chairman, our first item this evening is a request from God's Grace Baptist Church. This is a conditional use to allow a church. The property is located at 635 Plantation Road. The Planning Commission has recommended approval of this request.
Okay, is anybody have a spokesperson for the Grace Baptist Church here tonight?
Yes.
Okay. God's Grace, excuse me.
Yes, sir. My name is Ricky Fagan, pastor of God's Grace Baptist Church. And I thank each one of y'all for letting us be here. We're trying to get a church, get some property, and build a church. We're at Hart's Chapel right now. And what we want to do, we want to build a church and preach the Word of God. And this world we live in, like Brother Ronnie just said, we need more. All the goodness of God we can get. And I want to give this to y'all, let y'all pass it around and look. We're looking at possibly building a 50 by 100 constructed steel building coming off Lightning Tower Road. We'll have a church in their office, Sunday schools, bathrooms, everything we need. Paved parking lot, probably 40 spots right now. And, you know, I want God's will done. I'm just going to be straight up with you. And I respect everybody's opinion. Appreciate y'all when y'all, what y'all do and how y'all serve. But you know something, it's just a piece of land. It's a piece of property. And the way I look at it is this. The way I look at it is it's going to sell one day to somebody. Whether it's this church, whether it's to a bad neighbor or a good neighbor. And you can't stop it forever being sold. So we just want the opportunity to build the church and work in the community. And I promise you, we won't be a bad neighbor. We'll be a good neighbor. And we just appreciate the opportunity to even be considered for this. And but I know we want God's word spread, and we want to be able to have a church we can take our youth and work with them some. And right now we got kind of our hands tied where we're at. We're very appreciative of where we're at, but we can do so much renting there, and I'd appreciate if y'all consider this for us. And I promise you, I want to see some of these people behind me in church with me sometimes. And they're very welcome. Everybody is. And anything else you want to ask me?
Any of the board members got any questions?
Not this time, so.
Nope. Okay, not at this time. Why should come back up right toward the end.
Yes, sir.
Anybody here in opposition of this? I see we have a big group. By chance, did y'all have a spokesperson or did you? Okay, I know. I'm just trying to utilize everybody's time.
Yeah,
You know.
okay. All right, you want me to give you my name?
Yes, please, your name and your address.
Okay. My name is June Moncrief. I live at 614 Plantation Road. We've lived there for 33 years. And, you know, as we've gotten together as a community, I've realized there's a lot of neighbors I didn't know I had. And the whole reason is because when we bought into Creekside Plantations, we bought into a neighborhood that was supposed to be 3 to 10 acre tracts in all outdoors, wooded lots, and that it would stay that way for single family dwellings. We also have, and I'm aware that the restrictive covenants can no longer be enforced. However, on our pieces of paper, our restrictive covenant says over 1,200 acres selling in plantations. Restrictive covenants. Restrictive covenants are recorded in the clerk's office of Jones Superior Court to protect the homeowners and to enhance the value of the land. The developer alone shall have the right to amend, annul, waive, change, enlarge, or modify any of the restrictions herein. And I'll start with restriction number 1. Restriction number 1 states, said lot shall be used for residential purposes only. And there's a lot of other restrictions, but, you know, I'm not going to bore you with all of those. Our concern is not about a church coming into the neighborhood. We love all churches. Our problem is that we want our Creekside Plantation neighborhood to remain a single-family dwelling place. And that includes, you know, certain variances. You know, we were told by planning and zoning that, excuse me a minute. We were told by planning and zoning that this is not a zoning change, that this is a conditional use permit called a CUP. Well, I didn't know what a CUP was, so I had to go and do some research and find out what a CUP was. But in reading this, it says that a conditional use permit is an exception to zoning ordinances, and this type of permit allows the property owner to use his property in certain ways that do not comply with the current zoning laws. It's an alternative to rezoning of the entire, you know, the entire process. So I went back and I looked at these two pieces of paper, which one is a piece of notebook paper that Carl Williamson wrote. I authorized God's Grace Baptist Church to apply for a zoning variance. Okay, I had another definition I needed. What is a zoning variance? To allow a church on my property located at 635 Plantation Road, and it's notarized. And then there is an application from God's Grace Baptist Church that is an application for conditional use. So there's two terms here, and they're not the same. First of all, a conditional use permit is different from a zoning variance because a zoning variance allows there to be changes to the land. And a conditional use permit allows a property owner, say, for instance, to have a business in their home, like doing taxes or opening a beauty salon or something like that, but it doesn't change it doesn't change the land.
Let me stop you for just a second. The pros and the cons have a time limit. I know there are several more people that would like a chance to
Okay,
speak.
so is my time up?
We'll
We're trying to,
try to wrap it, because I don't want to,
Okay.
no one else have an opportunity.
and we're trying to keep from duplication of the same.
Exactly.
So there's any spokespeople.
Okay, good, and that's good. Okay, so, and of course, there's other, it's the location, too, of the property. And so I'm just going to pass this around. These were some pictures that were taken today that shows where the property would, where the driveway would come out, and you can thumb through those. There's, you know, a hill on one side and a curve, and so it's not easy access in and out. But, okay, so that's basically what I had to say. I mean, that was it anyway.
If you would like for the board to review the exhibits that you just referenced, the initial brochure and the other documents, you can pass those
Just
around
pass
as
those
well.
around, too. Have we got anybody that's got anything different they want to come
That's
forward
just
with? I'm trying to keep y'all from
That's
duplicating and using up all your.
So
Yeah,
anybody
okay.
else?
Yes, we do have some
I
other
had
people that
far
would
one
like
in
to
the back,
speak.
and I got a gentleman right here.
And did you want to see?
In the yellow in the back. Yes. And then we'll get the gentleman right here, and then we'll work our way up this way. We're trying to give everybody ample time.
Ms. Moncrief.
Yes.
I'm Keith Roberts. I live across the road off of Light and Tire. I've lived there for 59 years. My great-grandparents own that. My grandparents own that. My daddy owned that. I own it. Now my kids own it. Hope one day my grandkids own it. And that's considered the country. I know this is not about one person. This is about county, what's best for the county wide. I would state that I'm an electrical contractor, and there's a lighting standard called IES standard that's for a place of assembly, and that requires 10-foot candles, outdoor lighting for that property. That's the same foot candles that's at Zaxby's in Gray, if you know what that looks like. So to me, you're lighting up a neighborhood that you got light spill in somebody's yard. There's a house right across the road. You're going to have light spill in his yard. If there's a future development behind this property, you're going to have light spill in this yard. And if you haven't seen the property, I wish you would look at the property, because I've lived there since '64. The subdivision was built in '73, developed, and that piece of property has been sitting there for sale for, 50 years, and nobody's ever bought it they bought it to try to develop, and they get into it and realize the issues with it. There's so much watershed. There's a creek there that you got to be concerned with. I've tried my best to find a pro to this situation, and all I can find is cons. And like she said, we have nothing against the church whatsoever. We have a problem with any kind of commercial. If you remember, 2 months ago we was here, same situation right up the road. They was wanting to do a commercial parking. You turned him down. Don't think it's very fair for him. Now he's been turned down. You're going to turn right around and go a quarter mile down the road and give them permission to do a commercial lot. There's plenty of lots on Gray Highway, commercial lots that can be developed. I know of several. We had a meeting last night, and as people said, we would be glad to help them find a piece of property, but it'd be commercial. On a business standpoint, I personally think it's more, they would have more equity if it was in a commercial zoning. If something bad ever happened to the church, they got a lot more equity there to sell versus a piece of property that who knows what would happen to it if, But thank y'all.
Thank you.
Anybody next?
I had a gentleman right here, right there, and then I got the gentleman here.
I won't count that against your time.
Thank you. I too would like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time tonight. My family, we purchased property there in 1999, built a home. Our concern is that we went there because it is single-family dwelling. The properties Our property is like 7.5 acres. We put a lot of time and effort into having a nice home there. We feel like the one reason our properties have held their value so much is because it is single-family dwelling. Even though this is considered a conditional zoning, we just object to anything other than single-family dwelling, and we'd just like to see it remain there. Thank you.
Gentleman right here and the last one in the back. Oh, I'm sorry. Sir, what was your name and address?
I'm sorry, Dennis Cook. I live at 416 Plantation Road.
It was my fault. I'm not doing.
Okay, I forgot.
Straight there.
Thank you.
We're gonna get this gentleman, I got a gentleman in the back next, and then we'll get opportunities for the,
My name is Wayne Young. I live at 646 Plantation Road. Excuse me. I bought my property in 1973 when the Creekside Plantation Development first opened. The reason I bought, and most of us bought back then on the initial buy, was because there was a covenant of restrictions. And we saw that as a way to maintain our property values. Back then, very few subdivisions in Jones County had restrictions. When I read those restrictions, the first three things that jumped off the page at me were no mobile homes, which was good. You couldn't subdivide a lot, which was good. And no non-residential structures would be allowed. Those restrictions are documented. They're on file at the courthouse. Any property that is sold within Creekside Plantations, even today, makes reference in the purchase agreement to those covenant of restrictions, or they should reference that covenant of restrictions. I've just recently learned that those restrictions may have, the time limit may have expired. I went back and read my contract, and it says they're good for 20 years. That was from 73 to 93, and that they would be automatically renewed, which puts us at 2013. They may have expired. Those restrictions were intended to help us protect the value of our property. While the covenant of restrictions may have timed out, the intent of those restrictions is still applicable. We bought these properties in good faith that we would be protected from the placement of non-residential structures in our neighborhood. So at this point, we're looking to Planning and Zoning and the County Commission to help keep our subdivision as it was intended for residential use. The other thing I want to point out is a safety concern. When you pull out of Plantation Road onto Light and Tie Road, you look to the right from the direction Highway 49, there's a curve there. And I pull out of that Plantation Road every day, several times a day. I've been doing it for years, and I can tell you, it's a safety concern. When I pull out, I look right, I look left, and then I look right again. And sometimes when I pull out, I look in my rearview mirror and somebody will be right there on me. So it's a safety concern. And if you allow a parking lot for 40 or 50 cars there, that means there's potential for 50 cars to come pulling out on the Light and Tie Road. The odds of an accident just increased. The other thing I want to talk about, and I didn't really have any notes on this, but that lot has been for sale, I know, for at least 15 years. I talked to the lady who owns it, and she was asking $30,000 to $35,000. I looked at it. I couldn't figure out what I could do with it. I thought it's worth probably about half of what she was asking, but I told her, sell it if you can. Like I say, every realty company in Middle Georgia that I'm aware of has handled that at one time or another. Everybody in Jones County is looking for land has looked at that lot at one time or another. And everybody looks at it and says, it goes straight down, we can't build on it. So nobody's even made an offer on it all these years. Now this past February of 22, someone bought it for $32,000. And I thought, I'm glad she sold it, but I don't know what they're going to do with it. 8 months later, it sold for $40,000. I still hadn't figured it out. I don't know. 4 months later, February of this year, it sold for $42,500. So I'm asking myself, what is it with that lot? What's going on? Have they found gold or struck oil, or what's up with that lot? And so as I look across the street and I ask myself, what's different about that lot? The lot hadn't changed. It's the perception for what it can be used for. So we, as residents of Plantation, Creekside Plantation, just ask that you consider that we would like to keep our neighborhood residential use only.
Anybody else?
Got one more gentleman there. Well, we're trying to keep the timing, so we're gonna let this gentleman, and then pastor's gonna get an opportunity to come back forward.
I'm James Defoe. I live at 375 Plantation Road. He covered some of it, but I'm going to tell you right now, you'll wind up having to put a light there eventually if you okay this. And the problem is the people coming around that curve he's talking about are not going to have time enough to stop. You can't see them because of all the trees up that way, and the curve is a blind curve. I came here tonight, pulled out, next thing I know, there was a Kia right on my bumper. And the other thing is, if this church is built there, eventually the people are going to learn that coming out on the Light and Tie is dangerous. So they're going to start taking that shortcut up Plantation Road, and they're going to turn right by my house on Oak Alley to get on Creekside and go out to Gray Highway. And that's going to increase the traffic quite a bit. And I don't know how many of y'all been out there, but in the daytime, you can hear a pin drop, nice and quiet. Now that I've retired, I really enjoy it. And even at night, mostly the cars you're going to run into are going to be people who actually live there. So that's something to think about. You got 50 cars, and they decide, well, I'm not going to go out on Light and Tie, especially at night services. We're going to go up Plantation and make a right there and over to Creekside and out to Gray Highway. So that's the point I wanted to make. Thank you.
Pastor, you want to come back?
Yes, sir. I've heard everybody's concerns, and I respect that. And there's danger everywhere. I know that. But I can assure you that as a church, we completely want to be a help to the community and be a plus for the community. I don't see where Sunday and Wednesday is going to shut the whole community down. I just don't. But I mean, that's y'all's decision. We prayed about it, and we want God's will done. And with God, all things are possible. And that's the way I look at it. And I appreciate every one of y'all, and then folks behind me too. And God bless every one of you. Anything you want to ask me?
Any questions?
I do. So where in your thought pattern on where's the driveway going to be coming in and out of the church?
Off Light and Tie. Right where the hill cliffs off, we'll come up right through there. Right in the middle of the property that's cleared.
Where the for sale sign is?
Right, just west of that.
I mean, as a transportation director, I don't let my buses come out of Plantation. We go we go in and come out Luke Smith, just because of that blind hill and curve right there. So that is a huge concern for me.
That's why we dropped it down lower, but not come out Plantation, come down lower and on the bottom of the hill.
Still a blind curve and a hill right
I got one in my yard too. When I come out, it's right there. So.
Any questions? Commissioner Wood?
Yes. What kind of building materials, external coverings?
It's going to be galvanized steel. It's going to be structural steel.
Okay. What are the homes in the area, what are they covered with as far as brick, niche board, something other than galvanized shop, like metal building material?
Vinyl and things like that, brick.
Okay.
Yeah, most of them are brick.
Right. Brick is a much nicer substance. Have you thought about that for the
We thought
external
about
of the church?
Front especially, putting brick on the front.
Okay.
Commissioner Kitchens, any questions?
I don't have any questions, Master.
Commissioner Martin, any questions?
No, sir.
Does the board need to?
We had more people that wanted to speak. I didn't know if y'all.
All right, okay, I'm okay. We'll get one more chance. I know,
And then you'll have another opportunity.
and we'll get another opportunity. I'm trying to make sure everybody gets heard.
There are time limits on these.
Yes, I'm
so-
trying to do the best I can, because this is a public meeting, and that's what we try to cater to the public. But I just make sure we're not repeating what we've already, try to, if we've got something new we can speak about, please.
Chris, would it be possible for me to take 1 minute for the plantation people and not have all of them come?
That would be great. If you have a spokesperson, that's what,
Y'all agree to
that,
let me go for a minute?
okay, that's what I asked before, if we had a spokesperson, because that,
That might help you all get through.
absolutely.
Because I know what their concerns are.
Come
I
forward.
also know the heart of the other side.
Sure. If you'll come forward and introduce yourself, and that would be great. That's why I always ask if there's a spokesperson, because that,
My name is Christopher Peavy. I'm pastor at Christ Community Church, which is at 565 Light Tower Road. I'm also a resident of 151 Royal Lane for 20 years, which is Royal Oak subdivision right beside our church. That church was built within part of that development by Roger Green. Rest his soul. He did a lot of work in that area. The reason that I think most of everybody's here tonight, first of all, is to take church out of this. Just don't even look at it as a church building. Anyone that wants to put anything there other than a residential single dwelling home, it's just not even within when we talk about the plan for the county for that particular lot. If we're talking about a field, something like that, that's not entangled within a neighborhood, maybe so. It's very dangerous. You will need a decel lane to get people into that church coming from our church. You'll need a decel lane. They will go through Plantation. My biggest concern for pastor, and with all due respect, and I know he's sitting right behind me, I want their church to prosper and grow, and as a visionary, I don't see a prospering growth there. Maybe as Jones County people, we could help them find a better place to take their congregation. Because it is true that different people require different kinds of churches and different kinds of congregations. There is a place for their congregation. It's just not on that corner. And I think years down the road, even if you approve this, they're going to see that they wasted an opportunity by pouring $60,000 into a residential lot. You're $500,000 when you do this project. I've built homes for 30 years and commercial buildings, just like they want to put up. 3-phase power. Electricity's different. Lighting's going to be different. When you disturb all that natural portion of that land, water's going to run like crazy. And people are already being flooded out from that creek already. They're just asking you to do what I think would be right in everybody's respect, even the churches, to help them bypass this place that will hinder them and to look to a new horizon for their congregation. And I think that would sum up the heart of the people that live there and the Jones Countyans. There are people in that congregation I know and love. Very fond of this man. Don't know him personally, but know that he's a good man. This is not a fight against the church. It's just a neighborhood wanting to remain a neighborhood. All right, thank you all.
any questions? Just your church, and I remember when it was approved, and that subdivision was approved around that church.
Yes.
It wasn't the subdivision approved, the church was the focal point of that subdivision.
Yes. It was a vision of that subdivision. It still is. Yes.
And, somebody asked me about church. I said, yeah, but I remember years ago that church was the vision of that subdivision, and that's why it is there today.
And I'm really speaking because I think Pastor Rick's church needs a better opportunity than that. If I had an opportunity to take Christ Community somewhere, it'd be on the highway. Mm-hmm. That's where you want to be. Church has to be in location. Church has to compete today. I'm sorry, but we do. And then we have to compete with everything. We shouldn't have to. Mm-hmm. People ought to just automatically just get up because God's allowed them to live and come to church. But I just think there would be a better opportunity for him. I think someone is really doing something here that the church don't completely understand. Somebody's going to come out with $20,000 or $30,000 in their pocket for clearing a little bit of land and giving them a facade that they can't see beyond. And I think that's what the whole deal is. So we do ask you to please, on behalf of the community and the church, let's make a decision that will help both sides. And maybe there is a piece of land somewhere that you know somebody that owns it can help the church, maybe write it off and donate it to them. I mean, let's get back to doing what God asked us to do, really. But this is just not the safest or the right piece of property for Pastor Rick to grow his church. And that's coming from 30 years of pastoral ministry.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay.
You want another opportunity? You want one more opportunity? And then we'll,
I don't have a whole lot, sir. I just appreciate everybody coming out, and appreciate everybody that said anything, positive or negative. I know you got your opinions about things, and we love Gray, Georgia, and we want to be a blessing to Gray, Georgia. And that's our goal, and mostly the blessing to God Almighty. And we love our Lord, and we appreciate y'all, and I appreciate y'all just considering it. And if you don't, if it's God's will, we'll get it. If it's not God's will, we won't get it. And we're not here to compete with nobody, like I said. We're here to see God's will done. That's all I got to say.
any other questions from the board?
Have y'all, I got a question, and this may be something that I'm not supposed to ask, so please let me know that. She'll hit me. When we made our transportation department, and we had to bring in all of that dirt to that location there where our parking lot is now. I know how much dirt we had to move to get it level, and it's not level to, per se, a building. It's level to the way we wanted it for water flow, okay? We had to beg and buy dirt from all over central Georgia because dirt is not easy to get your hands on. I mean, Reeves Construction has came to us to get into the industrial park to buy dirt for them, okay? So dirt is not something that you're just going to be able to go next door and dig up some and bring there. Do you realize how much dirt is going to have to be moved into that area?
We haven't looked all the way into all that, but I'm sure there'll be some.
That's a lot of prayer. And I'm just being honest. Because I watch 20 loads a day come in for 14 days of dirt that we had to buy to level up that lot to what it is. That ate up our budget right there, dirt. And I don't want you as a church to go in debt. I just really think that truly there's a better place. And I'm taking a whole lot out of it. I'm just looking at the amount of dirt work that you would have to do there. And I may be very wrong in saying that, but I just want to be open and honest about that. So.
Yeah.
Just one question. Have you had a site plan done on that property to see exactly what's going to entail to put the building there? Because it could exceed the value of the building by many-fold. I mean, site work's expensive.
We know the permitting was done and where it's got to be done at, but
As far as stormwater drainage, all the environmental side of things, all that, that's a lengthy process, and that's a very expensive, because I've been working on a project like that lately, and it's mind-boggling, everything that needs to go into it. And it's,
we just want a place to worship. That's
right,
what
I
we
understand, but
I understand that. I
but
think we all do.
We want your church to succeed, we really do.
Right. And, you know, it goes back to 20 years ago. I think I looked at that lot, 2005 or 6. A gentleman asked me to look at it because he wanted to put his house there. And then the first thing I told him I looked at it, I said, you can find a better lot. And he did, because it's got a lot of challenges. And to put a commercial dwelling there, you know, I'm gonna echo, yeah, it could be quite costly. You know, I mean, just, we don't want to see a church fail. I don't see any church fail. These churches need to grow. All you gotta do is turn on the TV, folks. Churches need to grow, but they don't need to fail.
Right.
And I give you a perfect example. In Augusta, there was a church that failed. They made a 5-bedroom house out of it. The church failed. That's a home. You tell us a church, but it's our home. They had to convert it to a home. We don't want to see any churches fail.
We don't see failing.
All right, thank you.
Thank y'all.
So is there a motion to approve the conditional use?
Chairman, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment, and you knew I did. Attorney.
I know you've been mighty quiet.
I was
I've been
fixing to
quiet.
say, he's got to quiet.
You know, and y'all know me, when we have tough decisions like this, I'm usually quiet because I've done a lot of homework on the front end, and I'm having to process it myself, and this is a tough one. Mainly, and I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse from being here all your life, but I remember this actual thing that went out for Creekside, this advertisement, and the historical importance of that, of what it meant to Jones County, one of the first subdivisions that had big lots like that and promised, some really pretty places in Jones County, and I remember that distinctly. So that made it tough. But I laid in bed thinking, how in the world do we deny something that's spreading God's word? That makes it tough. And I think Mr. Peavy might have said it best. I had to take the church out of it, because what if it was a car lot? What if it was anything else in that spot? So I had to make myself take the church aspect out of it. And we're guided by state law on what we can and can't approve in a lot of these areas. And the other part is hearing a lot of people that spoke tonight, just knowing the people that I know in this community. We've heard from lighting professionals, we've heard from traffic safety professionals that have done this their whole lives. And so I build buildings every day, so I know exactly what they're talking about when you talk about the light pollution or the light the light spill into other neighborhoods. One of our criteria talks about how it affects properties around it, whether it's residential or commercial. And there will be an effect on the neighbors right around there from the light from it. There will be an effect on the safety of the community if we approve a known sight distance issue and allow increased traffic to come out of there. So I think those are all things that I took into consideration. I can't support it with a recommendation for approval, so I don't know if somebody else will go from there. I just wanted to put my 2 cents worth in.
Is there any motion on the table for recommendation for approval?
Daylon gonna talk now.
Go ahead, Daylon, you've been quiet too.
You know, I'm a real estate broker, so land is important. And there are laws that govern land, right? If the restrictive covenants were in effect, it'd be real simple. It'd be a no. But we know, according to statutes, they expire after a certain period of time, and that has already been established. You can't take church out of this, because if it was anything other than a church, we wouldn't even consider it. We wouldn't put a car lot in a residential neighborhood. And that's why churches are sort of different in that they're here out of the request for a variance, because, again, it's the only way it fits. There's a church down the street, that's precedence. And I'm no attorney, but that's the biggest challenge for me. Ma'am?
The topography is much different down the street.
I'm not concerned so much with topography. That's a them problem, not a me problem, right? As a real estate broker, if you tell me you want to put a house at the bottom of that hill, I'm going to sell you that piece of property after I advise you of all of the consequences and the issues that would happen. Reagan is probably outside, and I would say to Reagan, he and I might see the law the same because we studied real estate law. We might not agree because I'm not from Jones County, so I don't have a personal relationship with anybody. So when I vote up here, it's real simple. It's black and white. Does it meet the requirement? And according to zoning and planning, it met the requirement. It says, therefore, both of these, and I'll get to the site plan submitted, the application, with compliance with the 50-foot setback, Light and Tie Road is designated as a major collector road in the 1987 future land use plan. Therefore, both of these supplementary criteria have been met. When it meets the requirement of the law, it's simple for me. It's a yes. So my motion would be to approve it based on the law. I understand the impact to the neighborhood. I promise you I do. And no offense to anybody that lives there. I get it, I promise you. But at the same token, here is the law, and here's what's right. What happens after that is up to you as a community and up to this board. So my motion is to approve their request.
We have a motion, we have a second. Motion has died for a second. Do we have a motion for denial?
I make a motion to deny the conditional use.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? None, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
4,
Opposed?
opposed. 4 and 1.
Thank you.
We'll be glad to help you find a location.
It's a hard decision.
Seriously, we'll be glad to find you a place. We've got to have churches. That's not a good place to be. I promise you, that's not where you want to put it. I could, you'd have more money than that. Yeah. I mean, the guy Will's telling you.
Hey, we want to help you. We want to help you find a solution. God bless you.
Mr. Wachowski, you're up next.
You may want to let some leave.
Go ahead.
You do know.
Chairman, our next item on the agenda is a request by Amy House.
Calm down.
This is a,
We're still trying to have a meeting. If y'all could, if you could move your conversations out in the hall, it'd be great.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
She's dead. She's dead.
Okay. Can,
And we didn't hear, we couldn't hear the
Okay.
voting, and I was wondering how the voting went. It was denied. The conditional use was denied. Thank you.
Oh, there's your
Miss
paperwork.
June,
Oh, yeah, you grab your paperwork. Okay.
And I had one more comment, but I guess I don't get to.
I almost wanted to keep
well, okay, go ahead, Tim.
No need.
I think it's quiet enough, we can hear you now.
Chairman, our next request is a request by Amy House. This is to rezone a parcel of 2.35 acres on Skinner Road from RR to Ag 1 with a conditional use to allow a single-wide. Single-wide mobile homes are not permitted in the RR district, therefore this rezoning and conditional use is required. Planning Commission has recommended approval of this request.
Okay, is, Miss House here?
She is.
Miss House?
So why
Hi, y'all back there. I didn't
They
see y'all
couldn't
back
get nowhere
there.
are we recommending denial? So here it says.
Hi, this is Amy House. She's hearing impaired. I'm her father-in-law. Here to speak for her. She's requesting that this, planning and zoning approve, this land. She's going about it the way she's supposed to. She's not buying property up, trying to sneak her kids. Her purpose is she has 2 handicapped kids. One of them is already enrolled in Jones County through an IEP exchange between Wilson County and Jones County. To kind of give you an idea, the schooling he was getting, he was barely passing in Wilson County. His first year at Jones County, he made the principal's honor roll.
Correct.
And that's her reason. She's wanting to get both her kids. The only reason Wilson County School is not giving her her other child, doing a 504 plan or IEP plan is because they have one due to even to the contrary of her doctor's reports and everything. They said she didn't feel she needed to, so they're basing their decision on that. She's agreed with this property. She'll abide by the planning and zoning regulations and requirements on it. And that's basically the situation at hand.
Any questions? No question? Is anyone here tonight in opposition to this request? No one? You see anybody? Nope. This is what we want to do.
Motion to approve.
So, we got a motion approved, we got a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? None? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Let's have it. Thank you. Thank you.
One happy lady.
Thank you. Thank you. That's
She
what you
runs a
like.
place. She runs a little restaurant in downtown Gordon, also called the Front Porch. If y'all have never been there, it's a good place to go eat.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Tim.
Chairman, the next item is a request by Patricia Harrison. This is a conditional use to allow metal siding on a dwelling in the Ag 1 district. It's located at 1091 Monticello Highway. It's on a 12-acre parcel. This is our fourth request since we did the text amendment to allow metal siding as a conditional use in the Ag 1 district. Planning Commission has recommended approval of this request.
Harrison's here.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stephen Martin. This is my mother-in-law, Patricia Harrison, and my wife, Laura Martin. We are the ones who are requesting to build a barnuminium. I do work with a construction company and have several pictures of other barnuminiums that have been erected, not in Jones County, but this is what we are modeling our home after. It will not strictly be a metal siding building. We are planning on doing 3 foot of stone around the outside. We are planning on doing some type of entry, wooden entry above the inside or above the entrance, and also some kind of deal for our back. I have lived in Baldwin County almost my entire life. My wife and mother-in-law are both from Bibb County and have moved here 5 years ago. 5 years ago. We love Jones County. Obviously, I'm from Baldwin. She's from Bibb. We kind of met in the middle. We love our area. I have a stepdaughter, my wife's daughter, who is in Gray Elementary. We love her school. We love her teachers. We think that this is a great place for our home. As you can see with the pictures, it's not just, you know, the standard metal shop building. This will be our forever home.
Any questions? I love barnuminiums. My wife wouldn't go for it, but I'd love it in a minute.
They're structurally sound, and they will meet their needs.
Any questions?
I got one question, Chairman. It may be for Tim. What does this mean for somebody comes up and says, I want a true barn with metal siding and I want to live in it?
They'll have to come back and get approval from you all for a conditional use for metal siding on the dwelling.
I mean, we've approved it on some before, but I'm just, it was a generic question of how do we differentiate, because this is beautiful, no doubt. But how do you differentiate when somebody says, I just want to build a little metal square barn and call it a house?
I think the real way we differentiate it is the zoning, right? It's Ag 1. And so if it's not there, and again, to Tim's point, they're back here in front of us, but that is the area that allows for it. And that's beautiful. I mean, can you come by my house?
Yeah. And with that, Chairman, motion to approve.
Wait a minute, whoa. Anybody here?
No, I'm just ready to go.
I deny the motion.
Anybody here in opposition to this request tonight? None? We got a motion?
Second.
Any more discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Ayes
Chairman.
have it. Thank you. Beautiful.
Welcome to
y'all.
Jones.
Welcome to Jones County.
Can I keep that?
You gotta give them back. Yeah. I'm not showing it to my wife, but
This is what I'm trying to talk Storm into.
you better not tell her either.
I'm gonna send her a picture.
I'm ready when you are.
Chairman, our final item is a request by Mary Ann Brannigan. It's a request for variance to allow an additional lot on a private road. This is located at 284 Gordon Road. This is because it's a variance, creating an additional lot on a private road, the Planning Commission has not made a recommendation for this.
Okay. Is Ms. Brannigan here? Hello. Just
Okay.
kind of tell the board what you're wanting to do. We got any questions? That way we can ask them.
So I've lived in Jones County my whole life. My mom's family has had the property for over 70 years. Our entire family lives there. And I want to build a house out there and live with where my family's at. My mom is getting older, and my sister, my sister lives below my mom, and I want to live above my mom, so she's kind of trapped between us. But it just, I just really want to build on my family's property.
Any questions? Anyone here tonight in opposition to this request? No one?
Motion to approve, Chairman.
Second.
Second? Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Well,
Thank you so
you.
much.
We should
be the only ones that could have said no to all
That is terrible.
It's good to see you.
Sisters living next door, you may wish you had said
No,
that.
she's between us.
Still.
The gatekeeper.
She's the
Straighten
keeper.
up.
Yeah.
She kept y'all straight all those years, so she can
Brenda
still
lives
do
in the
it.
woods. I live in the woods, not like she does. I live behind the woods. Thank
All
y'all.
right.
Thank you.
We move on tonight for consent agenda and approval of minutes of third Tuesday, September 19th, along with the executive session. Y'all had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Motion to
Entertain a motion.
approve. So moved, Chairman.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
We had unscheduled, are they here?
I'm not sure. Pamela Jordan.
Is Miss Jordan here tonight? Miss Jordan here tonight? All right, Miss Jordan's not here, so we can move on to new business. Mr. Dean?
No
I
visitors.
told you we were going, I told you it'd be great if we'd have moved you to the front, wouldn't it? But
Yeah,
we got
but
a resolution to adopt ship ownership eligibility and home equity limits.
Yes, sir. These are, excuse me.
You all right?
I think I'm okay.
Hold your arms up. Hold your arms up.
What's wrong with that?
What did I do?
What is choking?
I know, rescue me.
I know, I get choked up when I talk about housing as well.
I don't think that would look good. You were still breathing, so you're all right.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Since I'm the only one on the new business agenda, I'll make it quick for everybody. The first resolution is to adopt the home investment, the community home investment or CHIP homeowner eligibility and homeownership value limits. And that is essentially just adopting the CHIP administration manual's requirements that it be single-family owner-occupied homes that are rehabbed, either stick-built or modular. It must be property owned by the homeowner that lives in the home. Gross annual income must be 80% of the average median income. And we have, and that's essentially between $37,600 for a household of one and up to $70,900 for a household of 8 people. Must maintain fire insurance or homeowner's insurance and must have your property taxes paid up to date. So you're essentially, this resolution is essentially saying that the county is going to abide by those requirements.
I make a motion to adopt that resolution. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, little discussion.
Okay.
Quick question, because I know, at least I think I remember, we've allowed some support for trailers.
Yes, sir. You can allow support for mobile homes or manufactured housing that isn't a modular home. There is a limit to the amount that the state will allow on those homes.
Correct. So we don't have that here, and I'd like that included.
Okay.
Because I know it says modular, and then it says unit, but it doesn't specifically say that, so I don't want it to be excluded.
Okay. I believe that in our grant agreement, we can check, I can check mobile home on that grant agreement,
Okay,
and that will suffice.
okay. All right, perfect.
Motion and second, right, Greg?
Yes. Motion.
Second.
Second. 2 seconds. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Let's have it. Resolution adopted, Georgia's,
Glad to be able to do that again.
yeah. We're going to go on this. I'm got a tongue twister tonight.
Okay.
I'll let you have it. How's that?
The next resolution is to adopt the Georgia statutes and policies by local entities, and that is essentially saying that you are going to abide by state law that you are already abiding by. For some reason, you have to also pass a resolution stating that you're doing that for this program.
The first is that you are not going to support sanctuary cities, which in essence means that you are not going to allow an employee or a county official to not communicate with a federal agency or federal officer who is investigating an immigration issue. That is actually a state law in which which the state does not allow what they called sanctuary cities that came up a few years back. You're also saying that you're going to adopt the Georgia Drug-Free Workplace Act. And the other thing that you're already doing is the adoption of the Illegal Immigration Reform and Enforcement Act, OCGA 13-10-91, which essentially says that you're going to continue to abide by E-Verify, and any of your contractors that you work with are also going to abide by the E-Verify and will sign the contractor affidavit as part of their contracts. And we'll also have a contract, we'll also have an affidavit that goes to the state that says that you're abiding by E-Verify.
You had something on this?
I did, Chairman.
Let's do a motion in a second then for discussion.
Okay.
That way keep it right.
All right, motion to approve the resolution, Chairman.
Second.
Second. All right, any
Yeah.
discussion?
Yeah, I had a documents dropped off from Mr. Doug Ruki. He's been here before, and he just wanted to express his opposition to the resolution, basically saying that all three of the things that we're adopting in the resolution are already federal or state law, and that we don't need to adopt them at a local level. But if he were here, I'd tell him I don't think, maybe he's not understanding the reason we have to do it is for the CHIP grant, not because we're trying to supersede state or federal law. This is a requirement of the grant application. Therefore, if we want the grant, we need to do it.
Correct. It's one of the 3 general condition requirements.
I think keep it in this file there.
Yep. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right.
And-
One more. Off the CHIP program design and policy.
Yes, sir, and that is exactly as it's described. We're basically just saying that Jones County is going to adopt the CHIP manual that the state provides and abide by those rules and regulations.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution make a motion for the resolution for the adoption of the CHIP program, design, policy, and procedures.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? None, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We got you out here 4-7.
That's right.
Dean,
And-
at some point, can we get maybe a report out of the effectiveness or the, what that CHIP grant has produced? I know we struggled in the past. I think this is either our second or third round. And, there's an availability. We tried to do promotional parts to it. We've tried to do community meetings to let people know about them, and we're just not getting a lot of takers. And there's, I hope everybody knows there is available money for housing improvements for substandard areas. And
Yes, sir. For this grant, it's $400,000. It will rehabilitate up to 5 owner-occupied homes. It's $80,000 each. If we go over $75,000, we just have to ask the state for a variance to go, permission to go above that amount.
Dean, historically, we were allowed to spread that out a little bit more. So are we held to just the 5 because historically we've done more?
No, sir. If the first house that we come to is approved, if they only need, $20,000 worth of work to get it up to code, because it is getting a property up to code, but not necessarily aesthetics, then the rest of that money can be used to do other homes. So, if we have homes that cost less, then that would enable us to do, maybe 6 or 7 homes.
I know the need is out there. There's a tremendous need in the community for homes that are substandard or in disrepair, and we could probably honestly do 100 in the county or more. So we want the people to get the help they need.
And last question from me. Can you clarify paid up taxes? Is that by December 31st or during the first issuance of the tax request?
It is are you paid up as of the time that we're doing the setup and pre-setup for your home, at home? So if they don't owe anything at that time.
Well, bills go out now, but we don't really pay them till the end of the year, so I just want clarification on that.
Would that mean it would be in arrears from last year's taxes? I don't think this year would be.
No, but just current year, because if it says paid up taxes, does that mean current year? Because we just sent those bills out, so,
Yeah.
yeah, our people,
I read that as you're paid up until these are past due.
That's the way I read it.
Yeah, that's
as long as we're good
would
there.
be
I
the
just
way
wanna
I
make
would
sure.
interpret it, is that if we do the check and it comes up that they're not in arrears, then they should be fine. To me,
Perfect.
that's paid up.
All right.
We can just wait a couple of weeks. to-
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry.
That way, this gentleman can go home with everything he needs in his hand.
If they're all signed up, I can submit everything
Yeah,
to
well-
DCA tomorrow.
Check it, make sure we didn't miss nothing.
I will.
I think we were in good hands, though.
There's just one?
Yeah, move it, hand the whole vote.
Jason?
You get bossed around already.
Do y'all need the originals or?
No.
Okay.
If you could email Leslie Falk.
I will. You're welcome.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Oh, well, we got citizen, we're gonna do department heads and then citizen
I think
comments.
it's
We got
about
it.
Chip, maybe about
Oh,
Chip.
okay, I'm sorry. You got a question for her? Him? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
If he got 100 people on the list, how will he know what fine to pay?
We can go by the first 5 on the list, first come, first serve, and if they have all of their documentation, then that would be the first household we would serve, and then we'd go down the list.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Didn't realize you wanted.
We need to have that
Thank
problem,
you.
don't we?
You're welcome. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks, Steve.
Department head. Jennifer, nothing?
Pee-wee's here.
Wow. All right, we got citizen comments. Mr. Moss?
Sir, Mr.
Widener.
Widener, excuse me. My name is Jason Moss. I'm at 200 Greenwood Road. I was supposed to have a court date in Superior Court with a few of y'all on November 2nd, but it got dismissed. I found that out on Saturday, so I got that letter Saturday. My dogs have been in animal control custody for 7 months now, and I have been doing my best to just try and get everything out so I can get my dogs back. They were accused of killing the dog next door, my neighbor's dog. When it all started, Ms. Jennifer arrived. It happened on the 12th of March, and she came and got the dogs on the 13th of March. And I told her I had video evidence of my dogs not leaving the property. 2 of my dogs didn't leave the property, 1 did. And she wasn't interested. But she was doing her investigation, so I let her do her investigation, but she didn't ask me for my video footage or anything. That's kind of why I wanted to go to court for all this, because, I mean, it's... oh, I'm sorry. Came in here for the hearing, for the council hearing. Miss Wendy Vaughn was here. They really didn't let me speak. They really, when I was trying to show the evidence and everything, they kind of talked over me. You can watch it. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you all have. Went and got a lawyer after that to go to the leash law violation, which was next, and that's at magistrate court. Went down there, and Mr. Jeter is my attorney. And he looked at the evidence, the video footage, and I have an eyewitness that one of my dogs also did not go next door. Only Caesar, you can see Caesar leaving the property for the video, on the video footage. And they dismissed the 2 leash law violations for 2 of the dogs. Caesar got hit with a leash law violation because he did go next door, but the other 2 did not for that incident, for the 12th. After that, I notified you, I told you what happened. I went to animal control, and I told her that, 2 2 of the dogs were dismissed from the leash law violation. And she said, well, they've already categorized them as dangerous animals, so they can't go back on it. That's what I was told. So, okay. So then I said, well, let me go ahead and try to start the process of Caesar, who is my 2-year-old Pyrenees. Actually, he's a 1-year-old Pyrenees. Let me go and get him started for the dangerous animal classification, so I can go ahead and register him as a dangerous animal, and then I'll deal with the other 2 dogs through the court system. And then Jennifer told me that she wasn't going to do that, wasn't going to release any of the animals or anything.
30 more seconds.
I apologize. Okay. I need another hearing or something to where I can resolve this in front of either y'all or another animal council hearing. Because 2 of my dogs, I have a 15-year-old dog in the animal shelter right now. 15 years old. He has cataracts. Jennifer knows this. Cataracts. He can barely see. He can barely hear. He can't eat solid foods. He eats soft foods. And they're going to execute all 3 of my dogs. 2 of them had nothing to do with that incident on the 12th. That's all this really comes down to. I have the citation that were dismissed. Caesar has the number at the top, and the other 2 dogs have the number at the bottom where they were dismissed. The moment they were dismissed, they should have given me my dogs back. Those 2 dogs should have been given back to me because they had nothing to do with the incident on the 12th.
So I got a question. So, question to Justice Time. If his dogs were dismissed, and you help me with
That's
this.
not true. And the problem is that he's misconstrued the facts throughout this case. So there are multiple sort of charges. He came before this county's board for dangerous dogs. These dogs, all 3, and there were eyewitnesses that testified that they saw all 3 maul another dog to death.
Did anybody check the video? I'm just curious about
All of that was seen.
And it's
It
on
was
the
all
video?
done, it was all witnessed, all the evidence was presented. The dogs were deemed dangerous. The leash law ticket are a totally different matter. And the problem is that in court, with nearly every citation, when someone comes in with multiples and an attorney, prosecutors, as part of negotiating the case, will maybe dismiss 1 ticket and then you pay another ticket. That is what happened in this case. It was negotiations, not your dogs have not been deemed dangerous by the Dangerous Dog Committee of the county.
No one said
And now
that.
you get the dogs back. This has nothing to do with the dangerous dog determination. This is negotiation by the prosecutor because he had an attorney that went and said, hey, my client will pay 1 ticket, can you dismiss this?
That's
And
not true.
It's negotiations that occur in the court system. And so the leash law citation was dismissed. He paid 1 and then 2 were dismissed. And the fine was actually increased on the 1 because of the negotiation. This has absolutely 0 bearing on the fact that the dogs are deemed dangerous and the fact that after the Dangerous Dog Board or the Animal Control Board deemed the dogs dangerous, Mr. Moss received a certified letter dated April the 17th that instructed him very specifically under Georgia law what his steps were if he wanted to reclaim 1 dog. Under Georgia law, you cannot have more than 1 dangerous dog. He has failed to do anything that was in this letter whatsoever. The county could have, after 14 days passed, euthanized the dogs in April. However, we have now incurred about $10,000 in their medical bills by holding these animals until the additional court case that was filed by Mr. Moss went through the process. He hired an attorney and filed a superior court case. That, by a superior court judge, was dismissed. So there's no pending litigation. The dogs have been deemed dangerous. He did not comply with Georgia law to reclaim 1 dog and is now about, 6 months past the deadline. And the dogs, he needs to reach out to his attorney, are no longer, the process has moved forward. They're no longer available to even get the 1 back that he's 6 months past past his deadline to reclaim. And part of that would have been paying part of the medical bills, housing, things of that nature. He's done none of that to comply. And that was sent April the 17th, certified. And so these citations, again, have nothing to do, it's a totally different matter than the dogs being deemed dangerous. Further, the order of dismissal by the Superior Court judge was issued, and both attorneys received copies of that on September 12th. So if he just received notice of that this past Sunday, he again needs to speak with his attorney regarding that. But the
That was
county
well
has
rehearsed.
really-
That was great. That was well rehearsed. You knew I was coming today. You went through all the stuff. That's great.
Sir,
It's well
your
rehearsed. Go
time
ahead.
has ended.
Okay.
The county has done everything. Again, the dogs could have been euthanized at the end of April, but the dogs and the.
Do you know how
county
ludicrous
sent
you sound?
Excuse me,
Mr.
sir.
Moss,
I apologize.
no, let me be real
You're
clear.
through here, sir.
This is our attorney. This is what she gets paid to do.
I appreciate it.
She represents us. So we won't put up with talking to her like that. I can tell you that now.
The county has incurred $10,000 in medical expenses to maintain these dogs since this date for the Superior Court judge to determine what was going to happen with the case. Because I did not want, even though they could have been euthanized then,
Right.
I wanted to take all precaution to let his case go through the system and let a Superior Court judge look at the case and determine what would happen. And the action was dismissed, which means it goes back to state law for dangerous dogs, which expired many months ago.
I just wanted my day in court so I could lay out all the evidence. My lawyer knew that I had a good case. I had video footage of my dogs not leaving my property.
Sir,
He saw
your
that.
time's up.
My time is up. You're going to execute my dogs. Two of them had I have a 15-year-old dog, had nothing to do with that.
Well,
And
he
you-
hit 4 people prior to.
Oh, yeah? Who'd he bite?
Sir,
The
stop.
Mexican
We'll
that came on my
ask you-
property during the pandemic to try and tell me, I said, what are you doing on my property? Are you talking about the FedEx guy that showed up at my house at midnight?
Sir.
A FedEx guy that showed up at my
Mr.
house
Moss,
at
that's
midnight?
a court issue, not a commission.
That's what I was trying to go to
I'm
court
gonna make
for.
sure
Well, this is not the place for that. You need to get your attorney and go back to court.
No, it's
We
online.
can't do that for you.
No. We'll have to ask you to leave.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Anyone else with citizen comments tonight? Any commissioner comments? Come on up.
Citizen.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Caroline Dumas, and I have my pastor here
I'm not
with me.
You're the pastor, we know.
But I want to make reference to that CHIP grant, and I know, Mr. Kitchen, you say, y'all have grant money, and it's just there, no one's using it. You know why? Because no one knows about it. You put the ad, and I saw it in Jones County News, but it is so vague. It just says, this and this. It's not layman terms that the ordinary person can understand. We end up, between our church and my organization, LADOM, we end up getting the information that we get from you all, putting it on a flyer that we can distribute so people can understand. That's why people don't know about it. And when the gentleman said that he was going to get the first 5 names on the list and go like that, that's not fair. Because for the longest time, people didn't know about it. And people we found out by calling Leslie. We came up here. And everybody's we've been trying to get the word out. Call Leslie, to put your name on the list. So is it their fault if they're down at number 20 when they should be up in the top 5? Because their house is, deteriorating. I'm just saying, if we get something, if Jones County get a grant or get an opportunity, put it out in layman terms so people can understand what it is. I know you do the requirements that is required by the county to put it in the newspaper, but it doesn't. It's just a statement up there. And down at the bottom, and Mr. Whitener, that's why you were getting all the telephone calls, because at the bottom of it, it says for comments, call Chris Whitener and put your telephone number. But it didn't explain what it was all about. It was.
Y'all got my personal cell phone number.
And it was right there. But no, it was in the newspaper. That's what it said. For comments.
Y'all got my personal cell phone.
But that's
job, Debbie, good job.
You know what, but that's all I'm asking, you know, when you.
Ms. Dempsey, I promise you it is our intent. We can't use that money, so it is our intent, the board, I mean, it is definitely our intent to make sure that the public is well aware of it. We've had community meetings here, and I understand a lot of times, we discuss that all the time. How do we get the message out so that people hear it, people see it, people know it, people show up for it? I'd love to see if you've got that flyer or a flyer that is better than what we have. We'll absolutely put it on our website. We'll do everything we can to get that wording out.
Mr. Nelson has something he was going to provide.
I just wanted to say that we're just in the grant acceptance portion
Right.
right now. I have not actually begun marketing the program, so I've not actually really taken a lot of names other than what Leslie has sent me on a spreadsheet. So I really have not started marketing the program yet in our office to administer it. So we have something called an affirmative fair housing marketing plan that I'll be sending in tomorrow, and it'll include this kind of flyer. I'll let you look at it, but I've not really, the state has not approved it to be sent out yet, so I'm not.
But if you're gonna start taking names, and instead of taking names, wouldn't that, a little short application of interest,
ready yet.
you know,
Yeah.
somewhere you will have better details.
And I tell you, I worked with them on the last one that was in the south end of the county, and the biggest problem and things that get in the way is that it is an estate property. It belongs to the estate of such and such that was deceased, and you've got 4 family members that have property, but they're up under that estate name. That's not their property, so they can't have this work done. And if it's rental property from a great uncle 3 times over, they can't accept any. So that's what they ran into a lot of in the south end of the county, is that there was a lot of names, but there was very few people that were the true landowners, property owners, titled owners to that piece of property. So they got to do a lot of different, not just 5, they got to do quite a few different things for different people because of that.
Yeah, we discovered that a lot of people didn't know about it. So, and you know, we come and we try to take information that you do, and we try to push it out through the church.
We love to see you here.
Yeah.
We do.
Appreciate that.
And that may be a way to get a better relationship, you know, with the church. Now, the church, well, not quite as much as it used to be, but it was that central place
Exactly.
where people gathered together. And so, well, I asked a question to him, and I said, well, what if they'll use all the money? He said, well, we will go to the next person, and the next person,
Yes.
and the next person. I think Carol has she don't talk this much honestly, she does. Betty does, but she does. but Carolyn has a heart for just helping.
Yes.
Just helping, and it kind of bothered her that knowledge is a great thing, and what you don't know can hurt you. And she felt like some people were getting passed by. I don't even agree with some of the things, because it's not some people's fault, because they don't know that, hey, I need to put this property in my name, and they're going to miss out on a great opportunity, you know, to help beautify Jones County. And I would, there was some way that
No,
could change.
maybe cut you
I'm
off.
gonna-
try to keep everything.
Everybody to the
I'm a
same.
Baptist priest, I'm just playing.
Talk all day.
But you sit in the back.
Thank you.
Can you sit in the back? I'm just saying, you know, Baptists sit in the back.
No, that's another joke.
All right.
Yeah, I do want to share this real quickly. Historically, it wasn't a first in, first access to funds, and we need to look at that process. It was about properties that had a need for it.
I thought it was based on need the
Yeah,
first round.
it was based on need. So Dean, I'm not sure, I think, I was just sharing with Jason, we have to talk about the criteria. I know between John and I, there's 2 districts, so for me, it's real simple. There's 200,000 over there and there's 200,000 over here. I'd like to see the applications and let us look at, where that money can have the most benefit, right? And then stretch it across as many properties. We try to touch as many as we could historically, and sometimes that number looked like 10 if we got 10 applicants.
Right.
So I don't personally agree with the first 5 on the list, because if it hasn't been marketed and it hasn't been advertised, where did the list come from? And again, I didn't set that as a criteria. Right, that's my point.
Right.
We're creating a list, but we haven't marketed the program and it hasn't been approved yet. So for me, it's about collecting the data, looking at what's available, and then making a good decision on how we can best move that money around.
You starting on any other citizen?
Just the point about the grant is that it's for the entire unincorporated Jones County, not particular district.
So,
I think be careful.
so Dean, clarify that, because there were districts that we understood that could not qualify based on income level. So enlighten me.
I don't remember districts that did
Dean,
not qualify.
come up to the microphone
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Because of the income basis, when they did the study initially, did something change? Because I may not be aware of it.
We did a study of Haddock back in December and completed the study in January. That was the reason we decided, we didn't decide, but the commission, I believe, decided to do the county as a whole, because we didn't have particular locations where we had concentrations of poverty that would meet that, meet those guidelines of a section, have a targeted area. So we decided to do, as a commission, decided to do as an entire unincorporated county.
What commission did that? Are you
This
saying
board.
this board did that? Because I don't remember voting going countywide.
No, that's what the board approved, was a countywide shipment.
I would
It was
like you-
countywide. That way it could be spread between your district, my district, if it stretched into Wendy's and Sam's. But we knew
Yeah,
that.
you gotta show me that, only because historically, we've always had the income barrier outside of District 4 and his district. So, again, just show me that, and I'm okay, because historically, that had been the issue. And again, that further leads to the whole list thing, because if it's countywide, then we really need to look at how we stretch the dollars and not just 5 homes at 80,000, my opinion. Yeah, show me that, sir, when you get a chance.
Okay.
Are y'all finished with him now?
Yeah, we finished with one night.
He told me he could leave at 7.
You should have snuck out the back door.
I got to answer the questions.
Oh.
He loves being in Jones County.
That's right.
Take up residence.
I just have a question in reference to the grant. Is
Come
there
to the
a-
microphone.
Hey, introduce yourself, tell us where you live at.
Hi, I'm Mary Manson. I'm giving Jones County Senior Center a plug. That's why I'm asking the question. I work for the Senior Center, Jason. But anyway, I was wondering, is there a age bracket for the grant? And also a way to get some information out into the community too. Just send it over to the Jones County Senior Center. We're good at putting information out there for the people in the county, okay?
Good idea.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else tonight?
She's got some energy.
Yeah, come on, sure. Your hideouts, come on, just enter, just.
Oh, it's not a question. Mr. Moss said he didn't give us paperwork and he didn't want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did not. That's his.
Y'all like me better.
Wow.
Thank you. That's what he had handed up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you Jennifer's daddy?
I am.
I graduated with her.
Oh, how
She's
about
so
that?
sweet.
Small world.
That's her granddaddy right there.
Oh, hello. Thank you all.
Anyone else? Commissioner Martin, you're on the what road? You want to go and keep going?
Man, it's been a night, y'all.
No, I gotta drive to Cartersville when I finish here.
Wow. All I can say is I'm happy that we're able to meet the majority of the constituents' needs. We're never going to please everybody. I don't think that's our goal anyway. But it's nice to know that, with exception to one, we can do good by the county. and it's not always easy. I hate it for some of you if you have voted a different way on that church. Not so much me, but
Only one judger.
that's it. And that's tough, and people don't understand that. And I appreciate, the ability for us to conversate, articulate the issues at hand, and then address them as best we can. Sean is not here, but we're getting some complaints again on Ruby Drive. I know I shared it with Jason, and I called the sheriff because they're still racing on Ruby Drive.
I don't know how.
The speed bumps never got put in at the top of the hill from when you come off of New Clinton, Ruby Drive, right when you get to the curve. There's no speed bumps from there all the way to over the hill. So it's almost a good quarter-mile rip. And as I was standing there talking to Miss Williams, the Monte Carlo came around the curve. And I was like, oh, my God. So I called the sheriff, and I said, hey, here's what's going on. She filed a complaint on Saturday, and there were deputies on Joycliffe Road for those who drove by. They had been hanging out for a few hours, and she said no one showed up. So after talking to the sheriff, they had dispatched to the neighborhood. So want to make sure we do get the speed bumps out there, and we're responsive. I'm still getting calls from Mountain Spring Roads, and they're waiting eagerly for that report. I don't know, do we have an ETA on that yet?
What was that now?
The roads report.
I don't.
The
I'll
new
check with
system.
Kim and let you know.
Okay. All right. I'm good. Thank you.
I'm like Daylon. I enjoy that we can sit here and we have to make hard decisions, and I can walk out of here tonight feeling good about my decisions that I made tonight. I know they're not pleasing for everybody, but we made it as a board and we were together on it, and that's important. Daylon and I had the honor of being at the the Chamber of Networking, and we was asked to speak because Chris
Thank you.
wasn't there.
Family
And
member come
they
up.
wanted me to
Appreciate
speak, and then they wanted him to speak, and I said, no, we're going up there together to speak. And he even had to swap over to the right side of me so that we were
Consistent.
in the right order when we talked. So I say this often, I enjoy our conversations over here, even in differences.
Likewise.
It makes me a better person, I think. And then we have to wait and listen to what Sam's gonna say, so.
I do thank the two of y'all for covering for me.
Our
Is
pleasure.
it?
That's it.
Thank you. Tough meeting for planning and zoning. It's always interesting during those times. Chip, we want to get the information out so the most people can get help that need to be helped. We don't want just a few help. We want as many as possible. And I think the Senior Center Way was an excellent idea put out
Yes.
there. Miss Debbie at the newspaper is another excellent source,
The church.
and through the churches. All right. I look forward to that project coming into full swing and people getting the help they need.
And by the way, John, just in case you didn't know, we can actually advertise on the water bills as well.
All right. Another excellent idea.
Yeah.
All right.
That's me.
That's all you.
What time you need to leave?
7 o'clock.
All right, let me start off by saying, no. I just want to say I appreciate our staff, our employees. These reports we're getting are awesome, things that are getting done. The calls are way down. They're specific calls now and things that we can address. So glad to see that. I'm really proud of this board. I mean, we have our differences. We vote differently. We live differently. We are differently.
Amen.
But we are one, when it comes to this community. And I think it shows our passion and our love for where we grew up or didn't grow up, just where we are here. So I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate the community coming out, because every time we come here and we have more people show up, they come to us with something that we didn't know. And we say it all the time. We can't fix a problem we don't know about. And I'm happy to see that. We're all thick-skinned. We wouldn't have signed up for this job if we weren't. So, and last but not least, I wish Ashley would toughen up a little bit sometimes.
Man.
She's getting too soft on us.
Brody brings it.
Brody
I
brings it.
I was just trying to, whatever. You beat me to the punch because I was fixing to do it, but is that it?
That's it, Chairman. Thank you.
Real quick, we had signed the request for our audit for our equalization study. We were denied. The result is no change to the overall rate. So that means that the county's going to be yet to be found out.
Is there any appeal process?
That's what we'll have to look into, but
That's on the sales ratio study you requested?
the sales ratios. with
And
no
do we
change.
have any documentation of what was presented, why it was denied and all that? Or can we look into it?
And how many other counties like size were denied as well?
Right.
I ain't got that. I know, Mr. George said he had everything to prove that they were on, but, there's no change in the overall rate, so we're still at the 3290, and we're supposed to be 36.
Well, Chairman, I've voiced my opinion on how it all went about. Just my opinion, I would appreciate a meeting with that board to see what we done, what we done right, what we didn't do right, and how we can do better.
Right.
Yeah, and I'd like to know again if other counties like size, kind, were approved, and even beyond that. I mean, if they made adjustments and supported appeals from Atlanta,
Yeah.
and maybe not down Middle Georgia, why?
You mean Georgia?
Hmm?
You mean the other Georgia?
Yeah, the other Georgia, yeah, that part.
Agreed.
If there's nothing else, we need to adjourn to executive session for hopefully real estate quick.
Motion to adjourn to executive session.
Second.
Second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank all of y'all. Did it quickly, I think.